All right, Drew, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is ISS. We are ready for the event.
Wimbledon Tennis Channel, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Venus's joy is unbounded. I'm quite sure that this has never happened on Wimbledon Centre Court before. Graf hungrily seizes another Wimbledon title in the final set.
They're not calling him right in that moment. I can speak to him. I understood this is just for the voice check.
Station has you loud and clear, but there's a large amount of music and volume coming through the speaker.
The list is something that begins during the championships. A list of all the things we can do better. It goes right to the heart of not accepting second best.
Drew, confirm this is Wimbledon Station. We will lose the music as soon as you are live.
And that can't be dealt with immediately, then it goes on the
Okay,
list.
I have you loud and clear, and we are ready for the event. I believe your time slot starts now.
Championships. The moment you are satisfied and think that you can't improve on it, that's the moment you've got a problem. We just want it to be better every day and every year.
We have 40 seconds. 40 seconds on this, Drew. Then we'll be coming to you live with our presenters, both Selena and Mats Wilander.
Copy loud and clear.
Now to a thrilling experience for us all here at Wimbledon. I'm delighted to say that we're going to speak to the astronaut, Drew Feustel, who's been enjoying our coverage from space. He's at the International Space Station, and this is a first for us here at the All England Club. Welcome to Wimbledon, Drew. It's a pleasure to have you with us. We understand there may be a few seconds delay, but Mats Wilander and I are sitting on centre court. Where exactly are you?
Well, thank you for the great welcome. It's fantastic to join you down there in the UK and at Wimbledon. I've been watching from space. Right now we're flying over the eastern United States, heading out over the Atlantic Ocean.
Drew, this is Matt here. Tell us about the mission you're on so far.
Well, hello, Matt. Great to hear from you. I've been in space for about 3 months now, and I still have approximately 90 days to go. The mission has been busy, as all missions are. We spend our time working science each and every day. We have had 3 spacewalks while we've been here, 2 visiting vehicles that we call cargo supply ships, and we have another one arriving tomorrow. So every day is filled with either operations related to science or maintenance and upkeep of the space station. But we're certainly staying busy, but occasionally find time to enjoy some of the activities we normally would on Earth, and for me that includes watching tennis live from Wimbledon.
I mean, for a tennis player, obviously the highlights is to play at Wimbledon on the center court. What are the highlights for you up there in space? Like, what would you look forward to the most?
Well, just about everything. I mean, the fact that we're floating in space is pretty amazing, and that's something that we all enjoy. That never gets old, and really looking down on planet Earth is very spectacular. There are no views like the ones that we see from here. It's really a privilege to be here, and we look forward to completing the mission. And spacewalks are fun as well. I enjoy going outside in the spacesuit and performing work on the outside of the space station. All these things we do are just very special locations, and it's really a joy and pleasure to be here.
We also understand that you are carrying some precious cargo, some commemorative coins. Can you tell us about them?
I can. That's a great lead-in. So what I've got here, and I think you can see one floating in front of me, is I believe these coins. The intent is they're medallions to be used for the coin toss next year, 2019, for the finals, and really quite a journey to get them here. But they are here now, and we look forward to bringing them back to Earth and returning them to the All England Lawn and Tennis Club, and hopefully they'll get utilized for next year's championship.
Very nice. When you think of Wimbledon, what are the highlights or memories when you were a kid growing up watching Wimbledon? What's so special about Wimbledon for you?
Well, to me, Wimbledon is really about iconic tennis, and I think it really serves as one of the foundations for tennis around the world. It's a great inspiration to watch tennis. It always was, and not only for me, but for, of course, my wife and her family were very huge fans of tennis and still are, and very active in the sport, and that's really what got me into it. But we enjoy watching Wimbledon, and to me, it's just an annual ritual to sit down and try to catch the matches from Wimbledon and see how all the action unfolds.
It cannot be a good job for your tennis, because I believe you play some tennis. When being up there for 6 months, obviously you're not hitting any tennis balls up there. So what is your tennis like?
As my wife would say, my tennis is a work in progress. I consider myself a sparring partner for just about everybody else. But you're right. One of the challenges of being here is that we don't use our bodies the way we do on Earth. And for that reason, we exercise, spend about 2.5 hours a day doing exercise, resistive exercise, and running on treadmills or using an exercise bike. It's important for us to use our legs while we're up here, because otherwise we don't. We typically use just our hands and fingers to move around. So it's important for us to stay fit and try to keep that, keep our bone density up and keep our muscle mass strong and complete, so that when we return to Earth, we can actually work back in what we call a 1G environment, or the gravity that we feel on Earth.
And last year, I believe you had a visit to the Royal Box. How was that experience? Because I have never even been to the Royal Box, Drew.
Mats, I have a hard time believing that, but yeah, it was a little bit fortuitous. My colleague Tim Peat, who is a British astronaut, was there with us, and we really were fortunate to have an opportunity to be in England at the right time when Wimbledon was happening, and had that wonderful invitation, and just really enjoyed our time there. It was quite magical. Got to meet some wonderful people and enjoy some great tennis on the Friday before finals.
So you're following this very closely. What do you think about women's champion and the men's champion? Who are your favorites this year? Mine are pretty clear. I think Selena's too. I think we're thinking Roger Federer and Serena Williams. But what do you think?
Well, you know, Mats, with the visibility of the work we do up here, it's tough for me to pick favorites, and so I'd like to say that it's always inspirational to see the players come along and generate some upsets and make their way through the draw. And I'm not going to call a favorite, but just say that you know, tennis is a joy for me to watch, and it's always a thrill to see the greats play like Serena and Roger and Rafa, and it's really been enjoyable this year watching all the action develop, and we look forward to next weekend. I'm going to definitely find some time to catch the action and hopefully see it live from space.
And Drew, we have a couple of questions for you from social media, questions that people have submitted and wanted to ask you. What about players you loved watching growing up?
Well, Mats was definitely one of my favorites. You know, Mats, I realize you and I have just about have the same birthday. I think you're about a year and 3 days older than me, and so you'll have a birthday coming up just before the USTA championships there in Flushing Meadows. But you know, I just enjoyed tennis, watching tennis, and certainly watching McEnroe and some of the greats play. They really were the foundation for the game. The game has changed a bit, but in the end, it's all about, I think, a game of prediction and probability. And the players have such a keen sense of the angles, the trajectory of the ball, and the speed of their opponents. And that's what's neat for us, because it brings the science into it, the science of the game, the physics of the game, and really that's what's key. And in fact, for us up here in space, that's what makes it hard to play tennis, is because we don't have gravity to help us with the bouncing the trajectory of the ball, so it's all straight line shots only. Not a lot of chance to create angle and create you know, challenges for the opponent, because the ball's only moving in a straight line exactly the place that you hit it.
Drew, would you ever swap space rocket for a tennis racket and become the Wimbledon champion, or being an astronaut was a dream of yours when you were growing up?
Mats, I would say that each of us is born with certain skills, and mine, my best skill is not playing tennis. It's okay, but it's definitely not my best, and so I think I'll leave the tennis expertise to the champions, those who have devoted their life to doing that work and that sport, and being an inspiration to the youth to get out and be active. And for me, I'll stick to science and floating in space, and being up here working on the space station. I wouldn't trade it, but I certainly enjoy and appreciate the work that all the players and athletes and organizers do to keep the game moving forward and keep it relevant in the world today.
Drew, do you ever play tennis in space? Do you get a tennis ball out and throw it around?
That's a great question. We're actually planning to have a game in space. We have some very small tennis rackets, and that was coordinated with the USTA, and we're going to see if we can pull off a game here at some point. As I said before, without the assistance of gravity, it's going to be kind of tough, but we'll take it easy up here and see if we can put on a show nonetheless.
And of your homegrown American players, who are you most excited about watching? Because I know you've been watching our coverage, so who do you enjoy?
Well, you know, the other day I actually enjoyed watching Raonic play, and he's a Canadian player, and it was quite neat to see him advance and continue on, and he's definitely somebody that I enjoy watching, and well, we'll just see how it unfolds. Again, tough to call a favorite because you never know who's gonna be the upsetter this year, but I'm sort of rooting for them all, and just look forward to some great action.
What do you think of tennis today? Obviously, it's completely different from when you and I grew up, and they had a bunch of servant volleyers. You could be a baseliner. But today, what do you think of tennis today compared to when we had more contrast of styles back in the 70s and the 80s?
Well, obviously, you know, the rackets have changed so much that I think what's the difference is the ability to put power into the ball and to put that control on the ball. And again, as I mentioned, it's become a lot more of a science, I think, than it has been compared to in the past, where it was more of technique and finesse. I mean, obviously there's a lot of finesse in the game now, but the players really have the ability to create that with the technology that's been developed into the rackets themselves and even the strings. And then the you know, the minute changes you can make, for example, in the string tension and even hand grip size. I mean, all those things play into a player's toolkit of tricks or techniques that they can use to take advantage of the other players and end up with the win. But you know, so much more speed in the game. It's just amazing to see some of these shots. I mean, you know, just watching the players go on and some of the points that go on and on and on. It's just amazing that the opponents can continue to return the balls until you're just waiting for somebody to make that one mistake, but they just go on and on. It's incredible to watch these games.
Drew, you're obviously very knowledgeable about tennis. Are there other tennis fans up in space with you? How much of our coverage are you able to watch? You're going to tune into the finals this weekend?
Well, you know, so far I've watched, I think, 5 games in space over the course of the last week. It's been a week or so. We have the ability to uplink some TV channels, live TV channels. So I've watched a few games in replay, but this weekend I'm hoping to see the games live coming up through uplink, and we do have other fans that'll occasionally stop by to see how things are going, and we're all excited whenever a final comes up of anything. I mean, it's true of baseball, racing, soccer. The World Cup was just on. We had a lot of us really cheering for the teams there, and maybe not the outcome all of the inhabitants of the space station were hoping for, our German crewmate and our Russians, but still a great game and great to watch all these different sporting events in the ground. And this weekend it's Wimbledon's turn.
And we're loving your T-shirt, Drew. What's the story behind that?
Well, you'll have to ask the All England Lawn Tennis Club, but both the shirt and the coin were provided by the folks there at Wimbledon. And the idea, you know, for us is to generate interest in what we're doing in space and with science and technology. And we like to try to make the association between the science and technology and physics of tennis and the science and technology that we use on space station, things that affect you know, us just living and working in space. We talk about trajectory, we talk about speed of the ball, and for us in space, a spaceship is just like a tennis ball falling around the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour, and gravity is that thing that's helping it curve around the planet. Just like a tennis ball, when you hit it, has that velocity and falls to the ground and makes that bounce. It's all the same physics, and so we're trying to create that awareness between the links between science and sport, and so that folks can be interested in all facets of what we do up here.
Well, Drew, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us from space. That's a first for us here at Wimbledon, and a real thrill. And we can't wait to welcome you here to the All England Club next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you both, Mats and Serena. We look forward to continuing watching the matches and wish you all the best in the coming week, and all the players as well. Good luck to everybody.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Nothing. No. Station, Houston, can you hear us? How do you read? Okay, thanks. And we also want to thank the Wimbledon Tennis Channel and the participants, and that concludes the event. Thank you.